All right. Hi there. I'm Kara from GrownBy, and I'm going to be showing you how to do the next step in the setup process, which is to add CSA groups, products, and subscriptions. Okay, so here I am on my Welcome Start Here dashboard. You won't have this 7-step grayed out, but if you do, you can go over here to CSA on the left-hand menu. So this step is to set up CSA groups. CSA groups in GrownBy are a collection of CSA distribution locations that have the same policies and protocol, sometimes the same pricing, and that allows customers to switch between maybe 2 different distribution locations if they need to for a week, or something like that. It also is like helpful from a farming standpoint to kind of think about them in maybe groups if that's how you do it. There are CSAs with many distribution locations where they may be clumping ones in one neighborhood or one city together, and others in other neighborhoods or other cities together. You may have a farm where it makes sense to have only one CSA group because that's sort of the way you think about it. But in any case, so in order to make any any share products, you need to first create a CSA group. So I've made one here as a sort of example. So let's look at it. I can go to edit. And I just give some basic information here. The name of the CSA group, which will show up for the customer and for me. And then I kind of describe the distribution locations and add-on locations. There's this change window option, which is how long before the distribution a customer can change their order or can claim a vacation week or reschedule to another location. That's a thing. You may have different change windows for different CSA groups. You know, if you're delivering to a city that's 4 hours away, you may want to know if there's a change an extra day ahead from a CSA that you have just right on your farm. Anyway, so that's the change window. And then there's a message for missed pickup, which is shared with your customers about what to do if they're not going to be able to be there. This is up to you, however you message that. And then there's a photo. So you have to set up that CSA distribution or CSA group before you create any products that would be associated with a CSA. So that's finished. And then we're going to go to products. So here under products, you'll see here at the top, add new product. Generally, this page has some filters at the top, and you can hide and unhide products as you desire to keep it looking a little bit clearer. And one of the things that I also really love to point out to people is this little button here at the top with the tiles versus the list. Viewing this in a list format is sometimes a really helpful way of managing stock or other actions that you might be taking. Okay, so let's go back to the tiles and we'll say add new product. And that brings us to this pop-up where we have a few options. We have standard or digital products and subscription or CSA share. Subscription and CSA share could be used interchangeably. That just depends on what terminology you use on your farm. So we'll click here for subscription or CSA product. And then we have 3 options. We have a primary share, which is the kind of main share that a customer would need to purchase in order to add on any add-on shares. And that could be a fall vegetable share, as the example is given here. It could be a main meat share, something like that. And then there's the add-on share option, which would be often here we see like fruit shares or flour shares or egg shares or yogurt shares that might be add-ons that you need to purchase the primary share before you purchase the add-on. That is all up to you. Also, if you wanted to have just an egg CSA, you could have that as a primary share. And then there's this share collection template, which is a way in GrownBy of sort of copying and nesting things together. We'll have a different video on that. So let's view our primary shares first. I'm going to just look at one we've already made here, which is a spring vegetable share. I'll walk you through the fields here. So in your spring vegetable share, we have the product name and then a short description a longer description. In this longer description, you can cover what kinds of things are in the share, other information people might want to know about it. If you have more complex pricing information, you might cover some of that there. There's a SKU here. Many farms don't use a SKU at all, but it is a great way of kind of organizing and maybe filtering things in some of the exports. So if you're comfortable with SKUs, that's it can be a really helpful thing to include. That's not visible to customers. There's the option for your production method. And then there's a category section. So you can add any new categories that you'd like. I just call this one vegetables. But if you, I would say generally with CSA shares, you wouldn't necessarily need to add new categories, but if you had like a pantry, like if you had a pantry share of some sort, a jam share, you might need to add a jam share there. And then there's producer. So under producer, GrownBy allows farms to sell other people's produce as well, other people's products as well as part of their CSA or their farm shop. And this producer field is an important place to kind of communicate that with your customers. So if you don't choose anything, nothing will show up. If you have multiple different producers, so if you're, say, buying in a flour share or buying in bread that is resold through your farm shop to your customers, it is really helpful to kind of communicate that. Since I have our own farm here, I'm going to just choose that from the producer options. You have the option of allowing vacation weeks for your customers. And then this select a CSA. This is a CSA group. So that is the Lower Hudson Valley CSA, which we just set up. There's suggested family size, minimum, maximum items. That's pretty clear. And then you put in your number of pickups. This is super important and helps define the pricing of your share. So you want to be really clear about exactly how many pickups you have. And then you list how many shares you have in stock. That's very easy to change. So if you say you have 50 and it's a really late spring and you want to change that, lower that number, that's fine. If it's a really, things are going gangbusters, you can raise that in stock amount at any point. And then you have billing options. So I chose all of the options here, but so you say your price per pickup. This might be a little bit odd for some folks with more traditional CSAs. You might sort of think of the price of your share over the whole season, but you're going to need to, if you have a $700 share, you're going to need to divide that by the number of pickups and enter in your price per pickup. And then so you could turn off your monthly and weekly options, and your customers could just be required to pay the full price at the beginning of the season. Or you can offer these different installment options. So here's the price per pickup, the deposit amount, you can set that. Your final installment date is the date on which the last payment is due. I'm going to set that just a little bit earlier in June. So it just makes it a little bit simpler, perhaps. With this pay weekly, I might actually make it the week before the last distribution. And then you can change your price per pickup if, for instance, I felt like it was just a little bit more of a headache to have weekly invoicing. It isn't with GrownBy very complicated, but if I just felt like it was a bit of a headache to offer that, I might raise the price per pickup for the weekly shares, and that changes the total price a little bit, and it makes these other two shares discounted. Or I might just choose to keep it exactly the same. So that's that, and then you choose schedules. So from this drop-down menu, you'll have whatever schedules you've created. There are frequency constraints, so you could have a biweekly or a monthly share as well as a weekly one. We have the start date and the end date of this share, and this is about the availability of this share. So these are the places where you kind of fill in the start and end date of this share. And then you just can double check on this calendar to make sure all the dates are correct. And once you've completed that, you can say submit, and that will save that product. For an add-on share, it looks pretty similar. Product name, SKU, short description, long description. And then in this case, I have offered an egg share from another farm. So I might want to give information about Thompson Valley Farm here in the long description. I might want to advise about egg carton returns, or I might want to talk to people about the best way to store eggs. I could do anything here in this long description. And then under producer, I chose the other farm. The vacation weeks are the same. That's what I've chosen, but you could choose differently. And it's associated with that CSA group. It has the same number of pickups, and I've set, in this case, I set a price per pickup that's the same for monthly and pay in full. And I didn't offer weekly on these because it didn't seem maybe like it made sense from a price perspective. So everything on this add-on share is the same. It's pretty similar to the primary share. And then we can add, so that's a coverage of the shares or the subscriptions. So then if we want to add a standard or digital product, we click here, and then we have the option of standard products or digital only products. So just to cover digital only is a great option for something like a farm donation that doesn't have any pickup associated with it. So people can buy this product and they don't have to, they're not sort of encouraged to choose a pickup location. You may also use a digital product you could probably use it for a farm event. If you had something happening on farm and you had a concert and you wanted to sell a ticket to that. I can show you this, the digital product that I already created. We'll just look at that one really quickly. It is a farm donation. Here we have farm donation. The description is that this is, a donation that we're using as a farm to help fund some of our lower price share options. I added a category called donation for this. Again, if you were doing an event, you could add a category called events or something like that. And then here there are units, and this is pretty similar to what you might see in the standard products, but we have a unit. I used each. You could have used dollars maybe, and then the cost per unit is $1 per unit, and we have 5,000 in stock. And then I made different buying option names. So we had a $10 donation, a $20 donation, and a $100 donation. Each of those have 10, 20, or 100 units each, respectively, and then a connected price. Actually, this cost per unit, sorry, this can stay zero. That's for your cost of production usually. And you can add other buying options if you want. We can save that product. And then to add a conventional or another standard product, we can look at these cucumbers. So here we are looking at cucumbers. We have the product name, a short description, a long description. I've chosen in this long description to add some storage information. We have the production method. It's categorized under vegetables, the producer. Okay, and then under units, we just saw this in the other similar fields in the last section where we were looking at the digital products. But for cucumbers, say I sell them by the pound. You might have other ways that you sell cucumbers. Maybe you sell them by the bushel, or maybe you sell small pickling cucumbers by the quart or something like that. But often pound. This cost per unit, this can be a little bit confusing. This is a cost of production. So you may know the cost of production specifically or roughly for the cucumbers that you grow or the product that you grow. This is especially clear if you're purchasing in product. So maybe you buy eggs in at $4 a dozen and you sell them for $5 a dozen or something similar. So you would put $4 here because you would know very clearly what the cost is for your farm. You have a stock, an amount, and then you have buying options and prices. So you have a pound, that's 1 unit. The price is $3. You could also add a box that said, maybe 7.5 bushel. Computer's being slow because I am also making this video. I don't know off the top of my head the weight of a 3/4 bushel box of cucumbers, but let's say 25 pounds. And let's say you sell that more wholesale size at, again, I wish I had looked this up before I started making this video, but we could say you sell that at $30. So then a customer would be prompted to purchase either, a pound or 2 pounds. They could purchase this larger size. So anyway, that is a way of making different buying options and prices. And then you choose the schedules. I chose Pleasantville on Saturdays, and then I gave the availability for this product, the start date availability for this product, and the end date availability for this product. You can change this very easily if your cucumbers come in a little later or they're taken down by downy mildew early and you need to end the availability. You can also very easily add other schedules. So we could say on farm, weekly, and we might choose the same start date and end date. Here. Sorry to bring you along on this process. There we go. And then you just want to check your calendar, make sure that all looks correct. You will see actually here, this is a thing to look out for. I said that we did not, when I created the schedule for on-farm Saturdays, I gave a skip day for the weekend of July 4th, maybe because we're planning to not have an on-farm distribution that day. And so you'll see that is missing this dot here. So if you've added skip days, it's always great to just double check that they're coming up in all the right places. And then you say submit and that product is saved. So that is and let's talk also about these lamb loin chops, because this gives another important look at the option for a different inventory option. So we have lamb loin chops, we have bone-in lamb loin chops, we have a long description, which can include, we don't love them at 15 degrees. We love them at 135 degrees. I'm giving some cooking instructions. You might also have storage instructions. You might tell them about the lambs that these chops come from. I know this picture isn't actually a lamb loin chop. And then we chose meat. They're from our farm. And then in the previous example of the cucumbers, we just said managed stock globally. But here for meat, it's sometimes helpful to not manage it globally and to instead have other buying options and prices. So in this case, I'm selling these by the pound. I've said the price per unit is $7.50 per pound. And then I've entered in all of my package weights. I'm not a lamb producer, so I am not an expert on any of these weights. If you're looking at this and you're like, that doesn't make any sense, just give me give me a little grace there. But so we have these different package weights, and then we listed the units of the package weight. This one has a weird 0 in it, but and then it GrownBy automatically calculates the price based on the price per unit and the amount, the size of the package. And then I can list how many I have in stock. So then as the customer purchases these lamb chops, they're given these buying options. You know, it says like, do you want a 2.2, 2.3, 2.5, 2.6 pound package? And then it deducts that from your in-stock amount, which is really helpful. You can imagine if you're selling like whole chickens or meat like this, it is sometimes a bit of a headache to manage inventory and to help customers purchase the size that they want without a lot of messing around and like deposits and whatnot. So this works this way. I added a schedule for that distribution and the availability start date and end date. Again, I can easily change that if I need to. And of course, once this product is sold out, it just will appear as out of stock in our shop. So then you can see that it's on this schedule for whenever the market is available, and I can double check that and then say submit. So then all of these appear in my product list. So it's looking good. And so that is how you set up, that's the basics of how you set up products. There will be other articles that kind of go into more detail about some of these things, but this is a good overview.